guys, I'm Apollo and I'm doing share my story allergic to water. So I hope you see my new chariot. My chariot will be in the link description below. That will be next day, which is tomorrow. So let's go.
Hey, I'm Lily, and this story is about my disgusting classmate Pablo. He always hit on
Pablo.
me, saying things like, "Nice booty, come over to my house and we can
Where's
party,
everybody's
just the
wait?
two of us."
Why? Why did you? Why? I saw every wait. Go back.
It didn't matter how many times I told him to stop. He just got worse. And
Wait. Everybody's looking at. I don't know what's looking. Wait.
hey, I'm Lily.
Oh, you mean everybody's looking at
He
Lily, especially Pablo. So
laughed and sneered. Lily's
wait, I'm gonna see. Achoo! Okay, let's go back. What?
just looking for an excuse not to shower. Then he dipped his
Why?
finger into the water bucket next to the blackboard and splashed water in my face. I screamed, desperately trying to wipe the water off my face,
Yes.
but it was too late.
You're
A small
allergic to
rash
water.
came up on my skin and it was very painful.
Yes.
Pablo still didn't believe me though. He said I was only pretending and I'd scratched my face on purpose. After class was over, another boy called Simon came to see if I was okay.
Oh, Simon. Hi, Simon.
Pablo's a jerk, he said. Sorry I didn't stand up to him. Nobody deserves to be treated like that. Oh my God. I had a crush on Simon for years, and now he was talking to me? He was cute, caring,
Okay.
and always made me laugh. But nothing was
Okay.
going to happen with him because he already had a girlfriend. 2 weeks later, our class took a trip to the beach. I couldn't go into the water because of my allergy, so I changed into my
Yes.
bikini and played volleyball with some of my friends. I'd just scored a point when Pablo came over. "How are you?" he asked. I said fine.
Okay.
I really didn't want to talk to him after what he did in class. But then he said, "I still think you're lying about your water allergy, so..." He pulled a water pistol from behind his
No.
back and squirted water right at my chest. Within seconds, my skin turned red and I wanted to
Yes.
scream,
Because you're
but I
allergic to
couldn't
water.
because I was struggling to breathe. The
You
next thing I
can't breathe?
remember is waking up in
Oh
a hospital.
no, not in a
My
hospital.
mom was there and she told me I'd almost died.
For me, I fell to the water, and I got hurt I got damage all over my legs and my feet, and I have to go to a hospital, and now I'm healed. And this is 2020, okay? So if everybody's watching this, like and follow, please subscribe. Now back to the video, and hit the notifications button and comment down below with how do you like it, okay?
She stayed with me as long as she could, but
Okay.
she still had to work to support our family, so
Yes.
eventually she had to go. Guess who came into my room after she'd
Oh
gone?
no, Pablo.
Yep, Pablo. I wanted to scream at him to go away, but I was too weak, so I just glared at him. He said, "I'm sorry, Lily. I really thought you were joking when you said you were allergic to water.
Yes.
I already told your mom that my dad will pay your hospital bills, and if there's anything I can do for you, let me know." That creep. Did he really think he could just say sorry and let his dad buy his way out of trouble? No way. I pressed the buzzer for the nurse and told her to throw Pablo out. But a couple hours later, Pablo snuck back into my room wearing a cheesy mustache. He brought roses and apologized over and over.
Well, that's good.
I gotta admit, it was kinda cute to see how hard he was trying to say sorry. I let him stay and we
Yes.
ended up watching La La Land on his laptop.
Oh, okay.
I know it sounds stupid, but I started to think he
Yes.
wasn't that bad.
Yes.
When the movie was over, Pablo didn't go home. Instead, he slept on the floor next to my bed. He said he wanted to be near me in case something happened. He was like my shadow until the doctor said I could go home. As we walked out of the hospital together,
Aw.
he kissed me, and I kissed him back. Yes,
Remember, guys, that there's water in there. So saliva has water in it. So I guess you might be allergic to your lips.
he'd been a jerk,
Allergic to water.
but people can change, right?
Yes, he was just a jerk.
Our first
a
weeks
while
dating
ago,
were
but now
awesome.
He's nice.
We'd hang out at his house, and it was amazing. He had a tennis court, indoor swimming pool,
What?
even a private cinema. But slowly his behavior changed. He started to tell me what clothes to wear and
He's
who I
so
could be
rich.
friends with. Sometimes he'd order me to come to his house just to send me away again 25 minutes later. I wasn't going to let him treat me like that. But when I told him I didn't feel respected, he laughed and said, "I don't care how you
How about
feel.
Simon?
I promised my dad we'd get married, and he gets mad when people break their promises. You don't want to see my dad when he's mad."
Yes.
I asked, "Don't you want to marry a normal girl who isn't allergic to water? You're always complaining that I smell bad because I can't take showers and have to use powder to clean myself." But he said, "You're the girl I want. If I can't have you, no one else will." So I stayed with him. I was afraid of what his father would do if I tried to break up with him. Pablo's behavior got worse, though. He started cheating on me, and he didn't care that I knew.
Oh no.
But then I started going to university, and everything changed. Guess who I met in the library?
Simon.
Simon.
Yes.
When he saw me reading a book, he came over to say hi. His smile was cuter than ever, and all my feelings for him came flooding back. I asked if he was still with his girlfriend, and he said, "No, we broke up some time ago." Wow,
What?
it felt like this was fate. We sat together and talked for hours.
That's her.
We could have
So,
stayed there all night.
Simon
But I got a
is
text
now
from
her
Pablo
new
demanding I go to see him.
girlfriend.
I hated saying goodbye to Simon. And while I was with Pablo, I couldn't stop thinking about my high school crush. When Simon and I met again at a coffee shop, I confessed that I'd loved him for years, but was too scared to leave Pablo. Without saying a word, Simon pulled me to him and kissed me. I never wanted that kiss to end, but I pushed him away, saying,
Amen.
"You'll be dead if Pablo finds out." "I don't care," Simon replied, and kissed me again.
Okay.
We started dating in secret, and for a few months, I thought we'd get away with it. But one night Pablo asked me, "I hear you're close friends with Simon from school." I gasped. "What? No! He's just one of my classmates. I hardly know him." Pablo said, "Carlos told me he saw you and him kissing." I protested.
Yes.
"Carlos is lying." But I could tell Pablo didn't believe me. "You know what I have to do now, and it's all your fault," Pablo said. I started crying, begging him to leave Simon alone. But Pablo pushed me away and ordered 2 of his dad's security guards to go with him. After they left, I rang Simon and told him to leave town or Pablo would come for him. Simon persuaded me to go with him, so we agreed to meet up at the city bus station. Before I left, I stole 2 small Inca statues from Pablo's house. I knew they were made of pure gold,
What?
so I'd hoped they'd help me and Simon to start a new life. When we met at the bus station, we fell into each other's arms, kissing passionately. I was so happy to see Simon alive. We took the next bus to Mexico. The whole journey, I worried about Pablo coming after us. But we arrived safely. It took a while, but we found someone willing to sell the statues for us, and got way more for them than I expected. We were able to buy ourselves a little house. It was a world apart from Pablo's, but it was ours, and we were happy there. Although we weren't trying, I soon fell pregnant and gave birth to our son, Frank. Simon went out to work while I looked after the baby. Everything was perfect. But I should have known it was too good to last. One night, masked men broke into our house and took me with them, leaving Simon and Frank behind. They took me to a small private airstrip, and that's when I realized Pablo had tracked me down. I cried the whole flight back to Honduras, terrified that something bad had happened to Simon and Frank. When we landed, as I left the plane, I saw Pablo standing there with a big grin on his face. He came up to me and said, "How are you, sweetheart?" He tried to hug me, but I pushed him away, screaming, "What have you done to Simon and my baby?" Instead of answering, he just smiled and told me to get into his car. I had no choice, so I did what I was told. When we arrived at his house, I immediately felt like a prisoner. Pablo said, "Now that we're finally reunited, I'm going to marry you as soon as possible. Let's say tomorrow. And before you think of saying no, remember, I know where your mom lives." I was devastated. My son and boyfriend were gone, and now I had to marry Pablo? As a sick joke, he invited my mom to our wedding. She was so happy for me, and I couldn't tell her the truth. She loved the idea of me marrying into money, because
Okay, let's continue, huh?
always been poor. She had no idea how miserable I was. The ceremony was weird. It was only me, Pablo, the pastor, and my mom. At the altar, I asked him, "Why me? Why not some other girl?" And he replied, "The more you despise me, the more I want you." That was the beginning of my new life. I was a prisoner in a gilded cage, but it wasn't as bad as I had imagined it. I was allowed to go out sometimes as long as one of Pablo's bodyguards was with me. I'd drive in armored luxury SUVs to go shopping, but it felt wrong spending Pablo's money. My country is so poor, and I hated living in luxury while there were kids begging on the streets. Of course, I also never forgot Simon and Frank. I promised myself I'd run away and find out what happened to them, to see if they were still alive. But then the worst thing happened. Pablo got me pregnant. I was trapped. There was no way I'd leave my baby with Pablo. But if I took him with me, Pablo would hunt me down again. When I gave birth to my second son, Lucas, Pablo's dad started spending a lot of time with me and Lucas. As I got to know him, he seemed like a decent man, so I told him how Pablo was treating me. His reaction stunned me. He said, "My son's an idiot. He should know better than to treat a woman that way. I promise you, if you raise my grandson well so he's nothing like his father, I'll make sure he gets my full inheritance." Then he told Pablo never to lay a hand on me again. I was part of the family and deserved respect. Pablo's dad gave me a house and the baby, as well as a monthly allowance. It's not a bad life, and I love Lucas dearly. But I can't forget Simon and Frank. I just hope I see them again one day.
Okay, that's the end of the share my story, allergic to water. So big shout outs to allergic to water, share my story. I hope I watch allergic to water again, but different. Her name was Victoria and I watched it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like this video, please subscribe. Put on the notifications button. I hope you see my video and put on the comments down below. Okay.